A warm welcome to World Mental Health Day 2016. I'm talking with community psychiatric nurse Lou Pears about this year's event and what we can expect from Burton and Uttoxeter community mental health team in relation to promoting good mental health and well-being. So Lou, what is the theme for 2016?
The World Federation for Mental Health has announced that this year's theme will be Dignity in Mental Health, Psychological and Mental Health First Aid for All.
Well, that's quite a mouthful. What does it mean for people with mental health difficulties and how will it help in the wider context?
As a team, it will enable us to contribute to the goal of taking mental health out of the shadows so that people in general feel more confident in tackling the stigma, isolation and discrimination that continues to plague people with mental health conditions, their families and carers.
Okay. So, are you saying that it's very important to promote mental health so that it is treated with the same equality as physical health? So that these two often separate areas are united in terms of treatment?
Absolutely. People need to stop attaching stigma and discrimination to mental health issues and realise the importance of psychological fitness.
No health without mental health has become a common mantra, hasn't it? But it does make sense and demonstrates that actually not taking any notice of your emotions, bottling things up, not talking to people and using comments like, I'm all right or I'm fine, when actually you're at screaming point, isn't in the least bit helpful, is it? Well, not in the longer term.
No, it isn't helpful, but a poor understanding and lack of knowledge about how to manage personal mental health and those of other people can often contribute to the difficulties. And it's only when you bump up against a problem, yours or another person, do you come face to face with not knowing what to do. Often using statements like, pull yourself together, get a grip, snap out of it. You know, the common statements people use thinking it's going to be helpful, which of course at times of dealing with a stressful situation won't help at all and can add to the distress.
That makes sense to me. So this year's World Mental Health Day theme fitted well in terms of sharing knowledge and educating people on the importance of building what we could call a psychological first aid kit, and one that could be continually added to and used at a personal level and for the benefit of other people.
Yes, that's right. The Burton and Uttoxeter community mental health team, along with its staff, service users and carers, came together to offer a recording which is available to anyone accessing South Staffordshire and Shropshire Trust website. The recordings are also available on YouTube, and the team will continue to add a variety of material and resources as they are completed, so in a way it's a work in progress.
I understand that the World Health Federation stated that it wanted psychological first aid available worldwide, so the team has really hit the nail on the head when it comes to translating this year's theme. I suppose there's no better ways than putting the information on the World Wide Web.
No, that's right. And downloading all of the tracks, or just selecting a few, allows for the information to be listened to anywhere, which means knowledge and education about mental health issues is no longer shut away behind closed doors. It's out there and can be heard at any time and by anyone. And it means we've got permission to say how we really feel emotionally and at the same time learn how to look after ourselves and ask for help.
So we're starting to break down those barriers and make a once hush-hush subject extremely visible. And doing this with the community mental health team, for me, endorses the idea that mental health and well-being can be openly discussed. So Lou, what can we expect to hear on the recordings?
We've offered a range of different resources, and it's full of interesting and useful information which will not only be of benefit in terms of effectively managing your own mental health, but go a long way in enabling you to offer compassion, help and care to your family, friends, colleagues and those people in the wider context you may come upon by chance who are in distress and require immediate psychological first aid.
Have you stayed within the World Mental Health Day 2016 brief, or have you been creative in the delivery?
Well, we've adopted a both and position really, because all the material has adapted the basic concepts and principles of psychological first aid, but because of its original purpose is to offer assistance to those in disaster situations, we've adapted it to suit local needs as well.
So what does that mean then?
Well, for those accessing the Burton and Uttoxeter Community Mental Health Team page, Dignity in Mental Health, Psychological and Mental Health First Aid for All, they will discover a range of add-ons they can use, that is, to teach themselves the importance of looking after their mental health, but also to use in psychological first aid situations should the need arise.
I suppose if you feel okay and those around you are okay, it's unlikely you'll pay very much attention to mental health and well-being. Am I right to say that?
Well, that's right. People don't pay attention to the niggling effects of ongoing stress. Many don't make a connection between mood and food, or for that matter, understand the importance of exercise and getting enough sleep in relation to mental health and well-being. But developing a proper self-care regime for mental health, much like we might do if we wanted to get physically fit, would orientate us to the importance of both physical and psychological health and demonstrate how the two are connected.
I understand that idea, because when we want to get physically fit, we might go to the gym or take up some form of exercise, do something different to help our bodies, but we don't think about psychological fitness. And it's not unusual to wait until we're unwell first and then visit the doctor, rather than setting out a specific plan to take care of our mental health. Okay, so moving on. Where did the idea of psychological first aid and prevention originate?
It actually dates back to 1945 and was described as an active process of prevention and management of mild conditions applicable to all individuals.
But I understand that it was poorly understood until a systematic review by the World Health Organization in 2009 showed how effective it could be.
That's right, and I know that we often hear or read that at least 1 in 4 adults will experience some form of mental health problem during their lifetime, and many will receive little or no help with regard to it, because sadly people are often too embarrassed to ask and or share their personal concerns. Here, the issues associated with mental health brings with it shame, and these ideas can often be culturally driven or sit within people's belief and value systems. But it does need to change, and learning basic psychological first aid may go some way to help bring the changes that are needed.
The introduction of physical basic life support, including cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, has saved the lives of many people, hasn't it? But mental health crisis and distress is often viewed differently. Because as we've already said, ignorance, lack of knowledge, stigma, shame, embarrassment and discrimination still exist when it comes to mental health issues.
Yes, and it's an ongoing problem. To start addressing it, we need to be able to talk about mental health in an open way. For example, how we feel, our emotions, learn how to communicate effectively, increase our confidence and assertiveness in a positive way, be able to say no without the add-on of guilt. The list is endless, but until we learn that's okay to say, you know what, I feel really low today, and another person is interested or curious enough to continue that conversation, then mental ill health is likely to remain poorly understood.
Has this recording, or the recordings, attempted to offer some salvation in terms of education and helping people understand that it's okay to offer help at times of distress once they've learned a specific set of skills?
Yes, it has, because it offers a whole range of different and interesting subjects which are not only suitable for other people, but as I've already said, offers ideas and concepts that you can use on yourself. For example, there's a track on progressive muscle relaxation, panic attacks, how to breathe properly, relaxation, communicating effectively, assertiveness. I could go on.
The tracks you've mentioned are applicable to me, aren't they? So I can learn the importance of breathing properly, hone my communication skills, develop assertiveness, but likewise I can dip into my new and learned knowledge and offer psychological first aid to another person because I now know how to actively listen, adopt an empathic stance, encourage proper breathing, demonstrate relaxation techniques, and I'll be able to do that with confidence, won't I?
You will, because psychological first aid is designed to be offered by the general public and not by healthcare professionals. It is what it says it is, first aid, and it doesn't mean that it's long-lasting or that it will prevent the need to access professional help. It's designed to offer immediate help to another person in distress using a variety of different skills. We've really kept education and knowledge at the centre of the recording because normalising mental health and mental health issues is essential in breaking down the stigma still attached to it. I would say good mental health and well-being is priceless and therefore it's important to take care of it.
Well, that's it. Thanks, Lou, for taking time out to talk with me. And now it's time to hand over to our colleagues.